brings with it incredible opportunity. Simply incredible opportunity. So, have we not been live this whole time? That's very interesting. Oh. Well, I don't know if you guys have been with us this whole time or not, but in case you haven't been, I want to welcome everybody again to Marketing Insights with me, Yasha Harari. This is an episode of Crypto Marketing Insights and YouTube. We're not sure if you've been hearing us this whole time, but if you have been, terrific, and we hope that you've been enjoying the stream. If you've been hearing us on YouTube, please leave a message or a comment. Tell us what you think. It's very unusual to see this, but you know, with YouTube's changes and everything else, it appears this is how it is. So, we've been discussing all the different various icons of the different cryptocurrencies and the various design issues that they have. I'm not going to get into all those again, but if you missed that, well, I hope you can catch it on the replay. If not, well, then maybe some other time we'll discuss these things again, but in a different way. But the point is, branding and forming of the icons is incredibly important in cryptocurrencies, just as anything else. And you can see the effectiveness of the various types of branding, organic and non-organic branding, the importance of getting your brand out in order to effect a successful marketing strategy for your cryptocurrency or blockchain project. So again, and it comes down to the name as well as the icon, right? The brand itself. The name has to communicate what you do, and if it doesn't, you need to explain that with the branding work. And the icon should communicate the meaning of both the name and its values in an instant. So you can see it clearly across the room and understand exactly what's happening. What that brand means, what its significance is, what the opportunities are, etc., etc. Right? All of that should be effectively communicated in the icon by branding. And if it's not, then you have branding work to do. And it is significant in marketing. Guys, if you're can anyone in the members room confirm that you guys heard on YouTube? If any of you are watching on YouTube? Really? You saw it on YouTube. Okay, well then I hope everybody else saw it too. Yeah, anybody else on YouTube, if you didn't see the last, I don't know, whatever it was, since the beginning of the show until recently, yeah, I hope it all works well. Anyway, so there's really one story that I thought was worthy of mentioning to you on this very mixed bag day of green and red. A little bit of profit taking to be expected, especially on the weekend as the weekend ended and we head into Monday. But yeah, generally speaking, pretty mixed bag, a lot of ups and downs. Binance coin with the nice pump, like we said. All these, we're looking at nice gains all over the place. Raven coin doing well this past week, despite the profit taking in the past day or so. It's gone up significantly, and there's a bunch of other coins that are doing fairly well. A lot of like altcoins, and everybody's saying, is this altcoin season? Is this altcoin season? Pretty much it seems to be altcoin season, and if you can't see that, you need to look at a lot more charts if you're actively looking for altcoins, because there's a bunch of them going. And of course, everyone will always tell you don't buy coins that have just pumped. But how do you know if it's the beginning of a pump or the last pump? Well, you have to be good at trading, or you have to read a lot about trading and understand patterns and everything else. And also, you have to make, decisions and that kind of stuff based on your overall research and understanding of a thing. And is the asset you're looking at investing in or marketing, right? Because that's really the purpose here. Is the thing you're looking at marketing, are you right now entering a cycle where the marketing energy you spend into your branding or other kind of marketing, is that going to get you more acquisitions right now or just branding exposure? Those are very different things, right? Investors are looking for cheap prices, right? They always want cheap prices. if they're buying, but they want high prices when they're selling. So you have always a duality to play when you're trying to communicate value for your coin. As a marketer, you need to communicate that whatever price it's selling at, you're delivering value for that price, right? Which means, over time, you have to increase the value that you're offering. Yes, prices will go up, prices will go down, but over time, the long arc should be you should grow it by increasing the values that you offer over time, right? And you can see that reflected in the coins that are growing in value, right? Binance coin is growing in price value over time in the past, let's say 5-6 months, since September, when everybody else has been just falling and falling when they were expecting it to grow in Q4 and they actually fell down. Binance coin has been doing the opposite. They've been growing, right? Like, they're back up to their all-time highs pretty much, and they're going up, right? How do they do that? Well, they added value. They made their coin more useful, and they added value, utility, and other things, right? They added value. They added perceptive store of value on, exchange coin, right? The perception that it's worth something. They added lottery functionality, everything else. Now, I spoke about this earlier again in the stream, so I don't want to go over everything twice, but the point is, if you add value to your projects, you're more than certainly going to see growth in adoption and loyalty retention than if you don't add value over time, right? And it takes time to add value. It's not things you do overnight. It takes a lot of thought and effort to get these things done. So is it good to invest in coins that are pumping? I'm not telling anyone what to do with their investment, so I really don't care, and I couldn't tell you. There's plenty of analysts you could watch to figure that out if you don't have a clue, and then learn from that, and then go research other stuff, and then read, the Wall Street Journal and Barron's and everything else that's related to Forbes magazine and Fortune, and read all the magazines that you can, and absorb all that stuff on your own. That's investment stuff. I'm not going to tell you that. Because that's not my thing. But if you think about the marketing stuff about these projects, think about, is this a good time to be acquiring users or doing branding, right? Right now, if you're marketing an altcoin, this is acquisition time for a lot of, it's accumulation time for a lot of investors. So how do they accumulate? Well, they have to be sold on a coin. Well, how do they get sold on a coin? Branding or acquisition marketing efforts. They're not the same thing. Well, if nobody knows about your project, you kind of have to do some branding. But you also have to do acquisition efforts. How do you do both? Well, you can do both by being creative. And there are some very creative people in this industry that you can look at as an example. One of them is Justin Sun, the guy who started Tron, right? And bought BitTorrent, right? Started a BTT token and all of that hubbub, right? And we all know, if you're in crypto, Justin Sun is a marketer. He loves marketing stuff. He loves PR. He loves making a splash. He loves getting attention. He loves making noise. And he loves all kinds of avenues of marketing, all kinds of strategies and tactics. And one of them that he's used quite publicly is to enter into a public sort of semi-friendly, semi-competitive rivalry with Ethereum and Vitalik Buterin, the Ethereum founder, right? And Tron is always out there lambasting Ethereum for being slower and for not having as much user adoption in terms of development, in terms of dApps being developed for it, rather, and all these other claims that Tron makes. And then people who defend Ethereum always fight back with, well, we have a far bigger developer community, and et cetera, et cetera. So there's a constant back and forth. And to be perfectly honest, I think that it's, if Vitalik Buterin, who I do believe is incredibly intelligent, like a gifted, brilliant human being in terms of cryptography, if Vitalik really considers himself kind of above the fray because he thinks that Tron is not a good cryptocurrency because it's centralized, et cetera, it's not a real decentralized currency and all these other things. and it's fast because it's not on enough servers to be really trustless, etc. It's all just, again, centralized much more than Ethereum. If Vitalik believes that, and he's certainly made the case for it in very graphic language, blunt language, or whatever, and publicly, if he believes that, then honestly, when he responds, every time he responds to things like this from Justin Sun, in a way, he kind of reduces his argument that Ethereum is above the fray. Because every time you enter into a squabble with the team that's antagonizing you to squabble, then you're just really entertaining them and giving them more attention than you claim you think they deserve. But the fact is that Tron has been very successful at doing marketing. And one of the things he's been very successful at, like I said, is in getting attention at the expense of Vitalik Buterin. And he's done it again, right? Just look at this. Reported in ZY Crypto. Justin Sun, right, tweeted that Tron will build a monument to remember Ethereum and Vitalik Buterin. What? What do you mean? Like, that's an attention-grabbing headline. Okay, he knows how to write attention-grabbing headlines. That doesn't mean he's really good at marketing, but it does mean he knows how to write attention-grabbing headlines. That is one of the qualities you do need to be good at marketing. Now, do I think Justin Sun is good at marketing? Well, so far he's been pretty successful at it. You gotta admit that. But it's not just because of his headline writing abilities, although you can see that does help him get attention, and that is how he spreads his message, and that's one of the ways he does it. So Justin tweeted that when Tron succeeds, he'll build a monument in memory of Ethereum, and Vitalik would be remembered for his tremendous contribution in blockchain. Right? So it's comical. It's a little bit of rimming. It's a bit strange. It's also a bit strange days after Justin purportedly made a sort of peace offering by bringing these people dressed as avocados to this conference that Justin and Vitalik both attended. It was a blockchain conference, and he brought these dancing sort of avocados as, some kind of gesture of, goodwill towards Ethereum and Vitalik. And then this kind of backhanded compliment / slap in the face isn't a way to show that you were serious about that peace offering. It's a way to show that was just more PR, and this is more PR. And, good for Justin for being active and super proactive on a PR level and a marketing level. Really, this is how you do it. But is the way you do it by getting personal with ad hominems? We'll remember you as a contributor, being ironic and sarcastic. It's not a really insulting attack, but it is, it's a slight. It shows a bit of ego and cockiness that you would have figured would come from somebody like Justin Sun. And again, good for him for speaking what he thinks about the matter. But overall, the question is this good for crypto? Is this good for Bitcoin? That Tron and Ethereum are fighting? Is it good for the ecosystem of the blockchain? That Tron and Ethereum are having this, tit for tat. I don't think that Vitalik should actually even respond to this. As much as I think Justin did a good job of getting noise out of it, if Ethereum does not want to actually put itself into the mud and go down to a lower level to where it is arguing with what it believes to be not a good cryptocurrency on solid fundamental grounds, because it's not decentralized, I would argue that makes it not a real cryptocurrency. Even if it's faster and has more dApps and everything else, it's still not a real cryptocurrency. It is a centralized cryptocurrency, a much more centralized cryptocurrency. Right? And again, I have nothing against Tron. I think it has a lot of use. But it is not a real, truly decentralized cryptocurrency. There really aren't that many of those to begin with, right? Most of these cryptos that are on the market these days are not truly decentralized. Some are. Bitcoin is. I mean, it's built in a decentralized way. And you can have power centers in terms of who owns more of it, who owns less of it. But generally speaking, Bitcoin is decentralized. That is, and Tron is not. So, and Ethereum is much more than Tron, right? So yeah, is it bad for Bitcoin that Tron and Ethereum are doing this? I think it is bad for Bitcoin. I think it's also bad for Ethereum. I think it's also bad for Tron. I think time will tell, right? I think eventually they'll all be worth more than they are now, in terms of what the value is that they offer their consumers. And I think that the value of their marketing efforts will grow significantly more with positive marketing than with negative. That said, negative marketing works. Conflict works. Drama works. Why? Because human beings love reading about that stuff. We are fascinated with it. Conflict and all that negative energy, whether you think it's worthy of your marketing efforts or not. You must remember, scandal, drama, affairs of interest to many people that are somehow dramatic, conflicting, whatever, these things are compelling to human beings. They draw them in. They make them take action one way or the other. It might be that Justin Sun has shot himself in the foot on a short-term level by going after one of the most well-loved icons of cryptocurrency, right? Like, he has a lot of fans, Vitalik. He's created something amazing, and he did it as a kid. He was like 19, a very young man, right? What were you doing at 19? I would often ask. Were you creating a cryptocurrency that changed the world? That had an impact. Didn't change the world yet, but that has a potential to change the way we see money. Like, that's pretty intense for a 19-year-old to create and to stay so calm and cool and collected about it most of the time. Frankly, like, that's very incredible. And Justin Sun goes after him because he's an easy target, Vitalik. He's a pretty quiet guy most of the time, and he doesn't shoot his mouth off. He says things that he thinks about after he's thought about them well for a while, clearly. And Justin just likes to shoot off his mouth because that's his marketing style. Overall, it's good to have noise in the market. Short term, I think it's not good for Tron or Ethereum or Bitcoin to have just negative stuff all the time, even if it's just light ribbing. And I know I'm making more of a big deal out of the story than it is. I understand that. I'm doing that to make the point, right? It's not about one individual slight. It's about the culture of the CEO of a cryptocurrency project doing personal attacks via Twitter. I mean, that's where this country has gotten to. Not this country, this world, this market, right? We are desensitized to the absolute crude, barbaric behavior of shouting off personal insults in public to each other. Sure, it's better than throwing sticks and stones at each other, but it's so rude. How do you not understand that it's rude, Justin Sun, to do that? But he does, of course, understand it. And he uses it as a marketing vehicle. And again, conflict works, drama works. That's why he does it. Personally, I don't like that kind of marketing. But it does work. And occasionally is incredibly effective. But if you make it your modus operandi, I think that's not good for the long-term health of whoever does that. So, for example, Justin's Tron project may very well succeed in the near term and medium term as a result of his antics, right? However, I think in the long term, if he's just, the guy who trash talks everybody and he's just constantly being rude, who wants that in a CEO of some company? If that's what you're looking for, I mean, go there. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I don't know anyone who wants to be led by a guy who's just trash talking everyone else constantly. And especially if he's just trash talking people who are doing good things. Like, you want to trash talk somebody, why are you trash talking Ethereum and not some obvious bad coin? Because it's easier to go after the big figurehead. That's why it's easier. And it shows how much smaller than Ethereum Tron is in reality when it's always Justin Sun going after Vitalik, and eventually, once in a while, Vitalik responds. And I'm not saying who's bigger or better or whatever, but it does show the culture, the perception of how you operate. When you're always the little guy attacking the big guy and saying, we're going to be bigger than you one day, it's almost cute, except that it can be damaging to the ecosystem's reputation, to the perception of cryptocurrency from people who aren't familiar with the topic and the technology. And it would be a real shame for crypto to suffer longer than it already has as a result of people just constantly seeing these quibbles. Justin Sun, Vitalik, Roger Ver, and Craig Wright, and God knows whoever else is fighting with who, and all the infighting. It's just ridiculous, you know? John McAfee, you know, he was demonstrating. He was having an interview recently. I think it was yesterday, speaking to somebody on Skype or something, or from wherever he's hiding out in some island somewhere, or on a boat or something. And while he's supposedly running for president as a libertarian, and on the lam because you know the government wants him. Whether you think he's right or wrong is moot. The point is he's at the moment running from the law, right? He's hiding from the U.S. authorities because he doesn't believe that he should be subject to that process while he's running for president. And again, he doesn't really think he's going to win the presidency. So he did this Skype interview, and he asked the guy, would it bother you if I had a drink, on the air? The guy was like, no. And he said, would it bother you if I smoked, marijuana cigarette or whatever while I was in the air, a joint or something, right? I forget what word he used exactly. If I smoked marijuana or something like that on the air. The guy said, no. And then he said, would it bother you if I, do you think I have the right to use heroin or something? And the guy said, whatever the hell he said, responded. It was very awkward, the way the call ended, because John was literally preparing on camera to shoot himself up, right? This is John McAfee we're talking about, like, massively successful cyber tech entrepreneur from decades ago who invented antivirus software as a industry, really, and sold out and made a huge ton of money, and then has been doing crazy stuff in the past 5-10 years very, very publicly, and has been getting more and more public about his involvement with crypto and everything else, and is, it's John McAfee, right? He's made a bunch of large pronouncements, but now he's apparently, maybe, here's the thing, it might have been entirely theatrical. I don't know, right? It could be all for show. It could be just entertainment, right? But is that really the kind of entertainment that somebody who wants to be some kind of political figurehead or cultural figurehead in the crypto world and the blockchain world, is that really the kind of image you want to send as a perception of yourself? Like, hey, blockchain lets you do anything, now let's go shoot up on some island? Like John McAfee? That's really what you want to communicate? I'm saying it because on the one hand, I'm extremely worried that it was real. And if it was real, I hope whoever's close to him can help him stop. Like, you need to be stopping that, Mr. McAfee, if it's real, right? That's clearly not a good perception. And if you don't understand that, then, I'm sorry, but I can't help but lose a measure of respect for somebody who thinks that that's an okay thing to do. It's just not okay. And why? Well, because it's extremely destructive. Do you have the right to self-destruct? I guess. I don't know. In most countries, it's actually illegal to self-destruct, you know. So no, you don't really have that right. Should you have the right? I'm not somebody to tell you that. I'm just saying in most places it's not allowed. And you shouldn't be so self-destructive as to actually glorify it by trying to demonstrate it on Skype. Like, if you want to demonstrate your freedom to do something good that the government doesn't like you doing, hey, I'm all for positive demonstration and positive protest and everything else. But if you're just going to do bad things that are clearly very destructive and try to do them on camera, I don't even know why I'm still on this. It's a moot point. It's very sad. It's very sad, you know, to see that sort of thing. And for John McAfee to be behaving that way, it's very disheartening. And that's not good for crypto marketing. No way, right? Like, I don't care if you're a fan of his or not. Personally, I like a lot of the things he's said in the past several years about crypto and blockchain. He's done some very intelligent things. Sometimes he's a complete crackpot. Then again, he's a rich old man. He doesn't really have to care. He can say whatever the hell he wants. But to publicly glorify, even if it's completely theatrical, even totally fake, right? Just for camera, just to pretend he's doing it. Maybe he was really doing it. I don't know. I really hope not. But if it wasn't really doing it, that sure is a very strange theatrical demonstration to choose. I mean, that's very, very negative. And how one does not see that, as disconnected as he might be from reality, as much in a rich man's bubble as he might be living, there's no positive interpretation of that scene. And how sad must a person be to be of that age, of that financial capacity, of all those opportunities he has, and still turn to that, which is a chemical used so commonly by people who are otherwise distraught. Now, he might be perfectly happy and just partying and enjoying himself, and again, it might be all fake. But if it's fake, it's really weird, and if it's real, then it's even more sad, because to show that it's a cry for help, if anything, I would say. But it's a pathetic cry for help, because he's a man of means who should have the ability, with all the people that surround him, to seek help if he needs it. And if he's surrounded only by people who are just going to, leech off of him until he's nothing, that's really terrible. And I hope that there's anyone out there who knows him and cares about him, like actually cares about him, that they would step in and try to help, because it seems like a bad situation getting worse with Mr. McAfee. And, sometimes you just got to call him like you see him, especially when they're doing bad things in public, and somebody who knows him well should definitely take him to the side in private and speak with him and say, hey man, you're doing bad things, you're on a very destructive path, and we all know where this ends. It doesn't end well. Right? So hopefully he can just get himself sorted out one way or the other. Anyway, those are some of my thoughts about the current waves of marketing in the crypto and blockchain world that are affecting the markets today. And I think that we need to see the overall markets, mature a little in their behavior, especially the leaders of these bigger, well-known projects, or people who just generally get a lot of PR attention because they're good at doing that. Those people, if they take themselves seriously, as much as it's fun to play these antics, must focus on the actual development of things that are in motion and the actual long-term strategies of their projects and their marketing projects. Because without the positive marketing, you simply will not get mass adoption. You will get adoption with negative and marketing. You will get adoption, but you will get very limited adoption, very focused adoption, very narrow adoption, and frankly, it won't always be very positive adoption, because they'll be attracted by the negative. So think about who you want to attract to adopt your use case and the way you want them to adopt your use case. You will not be able to control how the use case is actually used on a daily basis, in every individual case, right? Somebody will have different purposes for it than you think. But you can steer it in the general direction that you want with positive or negative or neutral marketing messaging. So be the marketer that makes the change that you're actually looking to make, right? Make the message you want to communicate, of course, based on data science and everything else. But don't make the message that you find abhorrent in any way, or that you just know is wrong. Can you salt and pepper your salad with seasoning occasionally? Yes, of course. But should it be overdone? No. Right? The bulk of your salad should be vegetables, right? So eat the good stuff, or the bulk of your steak should be meat, right? Not fat, not seasoning, not sauce. It should be meat. Get to that, and you will market better. Anyway, folks, I just want to thank you all again for watching, sharing, liking, commenting, participating. Hit the old subscribe button. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can follow up with us on Facebook. Follow the Marketing Insights page on Facebook. Yeah, pretty much all the old social handles. Twitter, do we say Twitter? I'm on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter. Wherever you want, you can find us. Check out our website, yashaharari.com, for all the links and all the free content about more marketing content. If you're looking for ways to market your website better or market your project better, check out our agency's website and download the free ebooks about how to optimize your site, your mobile apps, etc., etc. Don't get stuck in the world of marketing by following the bad, and always make sure you question and test everything, right? That's the whole idea, right? So thanks again, folks. I hope wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you're having a great time and you're making the most of it, and lots of success. And until next time, folks, take care.